Shalom, all praises to the Most High. Hanoka said, praise be to the earthly mother, the Kahe, the Holy Spirit, in the name of his only begotten Son, Motsah the Lamb, unification to the nation. So, today we have a highly anticipated topic. I'm finally going to get into end times prophecy once more. But I'm going to take it slow, and I'm going to talk about more of the astronomical events that are supposed to take place in the next couple of months, particularly in December. Now, there's a reason why I've taken so long to start to touch on this subject. The reason that is because I just talk about things that I'm being led to do. And right now, I'm being led to speak on where I believe the Holy Land is. Because in order to understand prophecy, you need to understand where the lands are. So I've been trying to do that a little bit, get a sense of where things might take place. But I could be completely wrong, but for whatever reason, my spirit was in that. But now I'm going to touch a little bit more on this stuff because I just feel that the time is now, the time is right. And after we are finished talking about end time prophecy, we're going to get into the calendar, because the proper calendar to follow is the most important thing to do regarding these times that we're in, because the calendar is what will save us from this tribulation, believe it or not. So-called tribulation. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, what I wanted to start off with is the concept of Saturn. Now, I actually made a video on this when I covered the topic of 666, and I covered what it truly meant. And I made the point that 666 is referring to all pretty much the same side or the same group of people or the same entity. 666 represents a plethora of things. But first, on a temporal perspective, well, I guess it's all temporal, but as a people, 666 represents Edom. It represents the Romans. It represents Rome. It also represents Nero. It represents the leaders of Edom and Rome. It represents who their power is, aka Satan, Lucifer, where they draw their power from, the planet Saturn. So it is all interconnected. 666 is also the mark of the beast. And there has been various marks, but there is a specific mark that is supposed to occur. And I'm sure we know what that mark is by now. But what I wanted to get into was the concept of light versus dark. And there is a running theme among a lot of these witchcraft circles, a lot of these Saturnian ritualistic circles, is that there is a good side and a bad side. So it would be the sun is the good side and Saturn is the bad side. But what they have actually done is hijacked the good side and just made it into a better bad side. And what I'm going to attempt to do, and what we're actually doing right now, is taking it back pretty much. Because they've taken our stuff and they made it into evil. They've inversed the acts of creation. So that's what we hope to do with a lot of this new information that we're getting in these last days. So let's get started. So you have Saturn, Satan, and 666. Sheriff in the ancient Egyptian was a lawgiver, and his badge was always a six-pointed star, which is the symbol of Saturn. U.S. sheriffs in the Wild West up to today still wear the six-pointed star. It is interesting that Saturn symbol is the six-pointed star. Saturn is the sixth planet from the sun. Saturn Day is the sixth day of the week, and now NASA is receiving images of the Saturn hexagon, six-sided atmospheric formation at Saturn's pole, and that's true, and we're going to get into that. The sixth chakra of the human energy system is the third eye / pineal gland. And 6 times 3 or 3 times 6 equals 666. Well, not necessarily, but I guess 3 sixes is 666. When your third eye chakra opens, you develop your sixth sense of intuition and spirituality. From a conscious perspective, the sixth sense, your intuitions, hunches, are messengers of God, your guardian angels. Isn't it interesting that angels have halos and rings around their heads, and Saturn is the only and Saturn is the only planet with a halo / ring around it. Now, didn't we get into in I think 2 videos ago, when I was discussing the similarities between Pachacuti and Solomon and David? And Pachacuti, he was given this ring, right? Or this amulet, and Solomon was also given the same thing. But Solomon was given a 5-pointed star, and this is a 6-pointed star. So I'm saying that us and Edom are like two halves of the same coin. And you'll notice that Satan or Semihaza and Motsah are also two halves of the same coin in that way. So I'm going to leave this in the description. You guys can check this out. This is stuff that like a lot of people already know, and you guys can literally just like look this up anywhere. But if you want to know more, you can always hit up my email, and I'll try to give you a little bit of direction of where you can study if you want to know more about this stuff. But Saturn worship or Saturnian worship is all over the place. They put it in all their logos, right? It's everywhere. But let me actually cover this. Rome was known to the Romans as Saturnia, not Rome. And Saturn was one of their gods. Black is both Saturn's color and Satan's color. The Black Holy Bible tells us that Saturn is 666. Saturn is the sixth planet. Its symbol is a 6-pointed star. It supposedly has hexagon weather formations, and Saturn Day, the 6th day, is Ozzy Osbourne's Black Sabbath. Is it all divine coincidence, or is our perception of Saturn and the other planets being manipulated by the Masonic magicians at NASA? So, hey, there you go. And you'll notice that a lot of these people, when a lot of like deaths rituals and things of that sort, they're wearing black and red, or black, white, and red. Usually it's black, but when they're wearing black, white, and red, they're wearing that to signify some sort of ritualistic sacrifice, or the blood on the checkered Masonic floors. This stuff gets very deep. Let me go to this video actually, so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. See? The 6-pointed star, the hexagon, the cube. And on the other side, the all-seeing eye. See that? Nope. Nope. Not supposed to use symbols. Now we can use symbols to reference things, but We're not supposed to worship them. Nor are they supposed to represent the Most High. However, it seems like the cross is not as evil as people make it out to be. It seems like the cross is actually something of a holy thing, and of course they've inversed it. But that's according to my own research. I still wouldn't necessarily wear a cross. Okay, well, anyway, I'll leave this video in the description. You guys can look at it. Excuse me. Let's move on. And let me just make this point, because this is a thing. Like, you guys can definitely look into this. So Saturn versus sun worship. What are both, and what is the difference? I keep finding confusing data. Sometimes it seems that they are in essence one thing, and sometimes it looks like the sun worship is good and Saturn worship is bad. Do these secret societies really exist? I'll also leave this in the description. You can look through all this, and you can do your own research, because this is not necessarily what this video is about, but I'm trying to drive you guys in the right direction. So this stuff definitely gets interesting. But the reason why I brought this up is the concept of Saturn versus the sun. Now, people think that Motsah is fake or made up, or he's some sort of paganistic religion, right? Because it's the religion of the sun. But the sun has multiple meanings. Just because they inverse it, that doesn't mean it's evil. The Israelites, we were supposed to use the sun as a tool of communication, right? The sun has many different uses. In fact, the wicked hate the sun. Look at what the sun is doing to them right now. The sun is burning them off the planet. The sun is on our side. The sun is our ally. These are just angels, right? These are angels underneath Motsah, right? These are the earthly mother's angels, right? So there's nothing evil about the sun. There's nothing even really evil about Saturn. It's how people use these things. They decide to worship them or use them for good or evil. Or maybe Saturn might be, that might be a different thing, but I don't know, right? I don't know. Let's keep it flowing. This is another book that you guys can get. It's not that expensive at all. It's honestly under $5, I think. But I think that there seems to be a lot of stuff in there. And you guys can definitely learn a lot from it. But, make sure that you're precepting, because this is just one point of view. So make sure that you're not falling prey to it. Understand the real forces behind. Actually, no, that's not what I wanted to read. Oh, right here. What I've dubbed as the Saturn death cult, what others may refer to as the Saturn matrix, can be loosely defined as the accumulated financial and ritualistic operations and beliefs of certain occult sects and organizations involved today in the promotion of war for profit, guns, monopoly of energy resources, oil, illicit drug trafficking, drugs, and the sexual exploitation of women and children, sex, the infamous God's industry. So this is the type of world that Satan and his seed line, aka Edom, and friends have created. This is how they gain their power. This is how they they keep the thing going. Things are very, very similar to Star Wars, pretty much, even though they've completely destroyed the meaning of it. But that was on purpose. With those crappy ass movies that they did recently. It says it's Saturn the Matrix, and it says all these Saturn symbols are everywhere. Ancient revered Saturn as the greatest god, and many ascribe Saturn as being the Earth's first son. So this doesn't surprise me, because Satan or Semihaza, he's been trying to hijack the Son of the Most High for the longest time. But you'll notice that as Satan has his celestial body that represents him, Motsah also has his. So let's get into this. This is a topic that I actually discussed before, and I said that I think maybe the star of Bethlehem was a comet, but in actuality, it might just have been the planet Jupiter. Now, let's skip down a little bit. Let me see. Jupiter was known astrologically as the father of the gods. The planet Jupiter symbolized this deity, and in the early August 20 BCE, Jupiter had just left its vicinity near the sun and conjoined with Venus. This could have been an indication of a coming birth. Jupiter often was associated with the birth of kings and therefore called the king planet. You see that? Jupiter is associated with the birth of kings, and it's called the king planet. And here was the king planet in conjunction with Venus. To the Chaldeans and the Magi, Venus was Ishtar, the mother, the goddess of fertility. That's, and that's where they get worshiping Mary as this, this mother goddess deity. But everything has a significance. You can flip it into wickedness if you want to, but what that really signified was the earth, giving birth to the Messiah, and Mary played the role of Mary, of the earthly mother, because it's almost as if the Holy Spirit is also is. And don't think this is weird or take this the wrong way, because I'm gonna expand upon this. But it's almost as if the Holy Spirit is both the mother and the bride of Motsah, even though Motsah made the Holy Spirit. Even though the Holy Spirit is part of him, it's almost like his feminine aspect, his rib, if you will. It says that in the Cave of Treasures, that the Holy Spirit came on the earth when Motsah was stabbed in his rib. The same way how Eve came from Adam's rib. So it gets very deep. People look at the Most High as being, the perfect conjunction of masculine and feminine energy. So, and also Motsah is actually who people know as the Most High, because the actual Father Most High, the Father of all creations, he doesn't deal with us directly. So the entity that we've been dealing with the whole time has actually been Motsah, believe it or not. But that's for the deeper understanding. If you guys want to know more, go read some books. You can find this information in the 12 Patriarchs, in the Books of Remembrance, in the Caves of Treasures, and other sources. It's literally everywhere, Anyway, thus Jupiter, the father, which is Motsah, because he is technically the father. He's our father, but he's not the father. So, was now in conjunction with Venus, the mother. Could this have signified to astrologers that the birth of a new king was imminent? Oh, this also reminded me something. You know how Nimrod, he married his mother, so his mother was also his wife. That's what I mean. Satan is always trying to copy what is to come. He's trying to get ahead of things. So then you think that they're fake or wicked or whatever, but it's not in wickedness. It's not the same thing. Let's move down. The king planet and the king star. Now let us look at the interesting heavenly relationship that developed between Jupiter, the king planet, and Regulus, the king star, in the year 3 to 2 BCE. There were 3 conjunctions in which both heavenly bodies seemed to be centering on each other over an 8-month period. It was as if Jupiter were homing in on Regulus, using it as an axis and directing earthly attention to it. This could have easily signified to astrologers that some royal event was to occur. While the Magi must have considered all 3 as having real importance, note especially the first of the three conjunctions of Jupiter and Regulus on September 4th, 3 BCE. So interesting. So are they trying to say that he was actually born on September 14th during the, or at least around this time, around the fall, the beginning of the autumn solstice? Here was Jupiter, the king planet, which just had united with Venus, the mother, on August 12, 3 BCE, now joining itself with the king star Regulus, the star of the Jewish Messiah, and the zodiac sign of Leo, the constellation of Judah, while the sun, the supreme father or ruler, was then located in Virgo, the Virgin. All these features are reminiscent of biblical themes associated with the birth and personage of the Jewish Messiah. Recall that the Messiah was prophesied to be born of a virgin and to be the king of Judah. King Herod must have wondered about this initial display of Jupiter with Regulus. Then note what happened. The second conjunction of Jupiter and Regulus occurred on February 17th, 2 BCE. Amazingly, the moon came to be positioned at the exact same time between Jupiter and Regulus. So this is definitely getting deep into what occurred. About 5 a.m., looking at the western horizon, an observer would have seen the moon directly between Jupiter and Regulus. The moon would have been occulting, covering up the star Regulus with the lower fifth of the of the moon's diameter. Then on May 2 BCE, 82 days later, the same conjunction occurred again. This time, however, the moon occulted Regulus by the top part. Let me just move down. I'm sorry. I don't want to bore you guys. These three conjunctions of Jupiter with Regulus would have shown Jupiter making a type of crowning effect over the star Regulus. It was like the king planet was placing a crown, like a circular diadem, over the king star, the star of Messiah. And importantly, all this occurred within the constellation of Leo, the lion, the zodiacal sign of Judah. And you're going to know that a lot of this stuff, it's happened within the recent years, right? So Jupiter, it is known as the, almost as the Messiah planet, but it's also associated with the literal sun, right? So Jupiter is, it's associated with the sun. And what is this whole thing about? You guys definitely need to look up, the concept of the worship of the sun versus the worship of Saturn. They call it light and dark magicians. And again, that is a hijack. They have taken our stuff and just made it into something that is not as wicked, but it's still wickedness, what they're doing. Now, I want to get into Mr. Benjamin Bernstein. Just dodge his opinion. Just take what he has to say regarding this conjunction, because this conjunction is supposed to be when Jupiter or Saturn or Semihaza and Motsah, they almost started war, right? Or that is the coming of the two celestial bodies. So let's just start.
20. As a bit of overview here, we're of course, as I record this at the beginning of August 2020, we're still in the midst of the Jupiter-Saturn-Pluto triple conjunction that we've been working with all year and that will still remain strong through early December. And this is the energy, to just nutshell it, of profound breakdown and destruction of that which does not serve, and the new structures that do serve arising out of those ashes. So when Pluto, Saturn especially get intense, it gets really intense. If you'd like to go back and check an overview of all that history of that, I'll have a link to my April 4 forecast. Technically it's for the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, but I also get into the Saturn part of it, and you can link to all the previous relevant content from that post. but I'm going to not dwell so much on that. I mean, we're all in the midst of the Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto right now as I record this, and of course we have the coronavirus that won't go away. A lot of challenge, and in my opinion, a lot of really wonderful. Technically, it's December 21, 2020. In this chart that I'm showing you, Jupiter and Saturn are exactly conjunct at 0 degrees, 29 minutes Aquarius, and that's the point I want to make. If anything is going to mark the launch of the age of Aquarius, this is.
So a lot of stuff is occurring. You know, the age of Aquarius, it starts during this time. It starts on this date, December 21st. Now, if you guys have heard December 21st before, it's because you have. We're going to get into that in the next part. But yes, the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, also the start of the age of Aquarius. And a week before then is the great eclipse that's supposed to go over Basra/Argentina. So a lot of stuff is going to occur at the end of this year. A lot of stuff. And that also goes to show the midway point of that X that's supposed to form over Missouri, as I said before, is also that eclipse that goes over Argentina. So you guys can definitely expect some things to come in the next couple of months, and we can see why they're trying to force vaccines on us before December hits, because December something is coming. And if you guys have watched Big Judah's video from a few days ago, you know what I'm talking about, and we're gonna get into that later on in the series, because he definitely said a lot of things that I've been preaching on my channel for the last few months, and I didn't really know if I should even believe it or not. Like, a lot of stuff that I say, not a lot of it, but some of the stuff I say, I'm like, I say it, but I don't really believe it. You know, I'm almost like not speaking for myself. And then it turns out that's just what it is. And I'm just like, wow, that just didn't come from me. And that's just how it is.
Got to be it, in my opinion. So let me explain a little about the Jupiter-Saturn thing. In ancient astrology, before they knew about anything beyond Saturn, the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn was the biggest deal they had. That was the mega event. And to have them come together, which happened every 20 years, was called the Great Conjunction. And what I think is extraordinary about this, especially on the heels of all this intensity we're having this year, is here's the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction at the first degree of Aquarius, and here we are moving into the Aquarian age. So this classic, traditional marker of major new stuff happening, major turning point, major beginning, the beginning of the most potent cycle the ancients even knew about, is marked at this moment. And the synchronicity with it coming right on the heels of the winter solstice. At this point, the sun is at 0 degrees, 24 minutes. We're not even half a day past the winter solstice yet. And here we have Jupiter, Saturn conjoining at the first degree of Aquarius. That is extraordinary synchronicity, in my opinion. And I present this as a message of hope. When we're in times as challenging as these, we need a ray of light to look forward to. Now, I'm not making a claim that at the very instant of this conjunction, the bright light will break through and all our problems are solved. I think we're in a little bit longer-term process than that. My own personal belief is that we've got 5,000 years of toxic patriarchy and dominator culture to clear.
That's what I was talking about. I was like, bro, dodge his opinion, bro. Toxic patriarchy? What are you talking about? We had 500 years or 5,000 years of your toxic people running the earth. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Toxic patriarchy. What the hell? Bro, these people, man, these Tikkun Olam face rats, man, they're just disgusting. Because they'll talk about toxic patriarchy, but then they'll fight for homosexuality rights. They'll fight for you to eat all the pig you want. They're just a bunch of hypocrites. And they just don't have the light of the Most High in them. So I just ignore these big-nosed fools, man. Getting me tight. Toxic patriarchy. The reason why I'm upset is because the Most High is a patriarchy. Everything in this world has been nonsensical, Kali, destroyer God, order out of chaos, matriarchies. That's all it is. There's no order, nothing. And he's talking about toxic patriarchy. Damn fool. What the hell, man?
Point out a couple of things that look really interesting to me. The sun at 0.5 Capricorn, he has about 1 degree of conjunction to Mercury around 1.5 Capricorn. So
Okay, that's all I wanted to show you, but let's move on. So I told you guys, does December 21st seem familiar? It should, because that's the same date that the Mayans predicted in 2012, but it wasn't 2012, it was 2020. And he says that they actually messed this up. I'm gonna leave this in the description so you guys can look into this. You know, they didn't necessarily predict this date, like December 21st, 2020, but they did recognize that they read this wrong. They read this calendar wrong. Some believe that this calendar was supposed to be at the end of 2019, which it could have been. You know, it makes sense, and then we get a whole year of this, and then boom, right? Or they just meant this date. But I find it very interesting that it's literally the exact same date that people predicted. So maybe they were just running a psyop. I don't know. I don't know what they were doing, why they did this 8 years earlier than they were supposed to. Let's keep it flowing. Let me see. In December 2020, Jupiter joined Saturn in Aquarius and marks the beginning of a new 240-year cycle, which will change society and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Let me see. Is there anything I wanted to read here? It says, how is the age of Aquarius different than the last 2,000 years of the age of Pisces? Pisces is the last sign in the astrology and carries the karma, that's their gods, the consequences of the previous actions of humanity or an individual. So it is extremely hard for humanity to be happy in the age of Pisces while it is paying off difficult karma. Yahawahshi Hamashiac initiated the age of Pisces with the sacrifice. At the start of a 2,100 year period for humanity when the sins were being washed away, Pisces rules sins, but also the release from these through suffering and sacrifice. This has been a topic that people have been saying, that we've entered in this age of suffering, and now we're going to enter in another age because the pendulum has to swing the other way. I guess so. I guess if you want to look at it that way. But I found this interesting. Having liberated ourselves from the collective karma of humanity through suffering, during the Pisces epoch, we are gradually starting to have more and more individual freedom and free will. Aquarius. Yeah, because it's all about free will. And you need to use your free will to find out many things that the Most High wants from you. That's what your focus should be on. If your focus is not, what does the Most High want? What does the Father want? What does His Son want? If your focus is not on that, you have nothing. Nothing at all. I don't think I need to really read anything else. It says Leo is ruled by the sun. The center of our solar system, the sun is the archetype of the King of Heaven. So in essence, is the reason why Leo is called the King of the Jungle. The sun gives all life on Earth, and it is a vital, strong, and powerful planet. So there you go. And I'm going to leave this link in the description, because this is a pretty good read. It's a pretty good read, man. Pretty good read. But I'm not going to go over it. I don't want to make this video too long. Tell me what you guys think. Shalom. Selah Kala.